Welcome to Books on Air. I'm Suzanne Harris. Books on Air is a series where we do a deep dive into the writer's passion. We talk about why they wrote the book. We also talk about their writing process. What's that like? And we ask them what they hope their readers will take away from the book. You, dear listeners, will get a real glimpse behind the curtain, if you will. Joining me today is Helen Slater. Helen's here to talk about her fascinating book, The Story of My Soul. Helen, welcome.
Hello, Suzanne. Thank you for having me on your show.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Books are so interesting. They tell so many stories to the people who read them. But I think being able to talk to the author of the book is a very special thing. Now, The Story of My Soul is a very interesting book. Tell me how it came into being.
So I was working, did my normal life, student and working, and then I got very tired, and that fatigue didn't go after a few months. And I was told by the doctors that it was post-viral syndrome, and because I'd had flu really badly. And so I was laid out on my sofa, and I had a neighbour upstairs who was playing amplified guitar, and couldn't find any way of getting him to stop. And so I was pretty desperate, and so I just asked, I said out loud, "Help me." And this voice said, "Oh, I'm here to help you." And I said, "Who are you?" And he said, "My name is Jeremiah," and he was my guide. And then I met another of my guides called Madeline, and they said that they would heal me and that I would go on an adventure, and that I would, as I was receiving the healing, I would write down everything so I would know how I got through it, and I would be able to take other people through it very, very quickly and easily. So it's quite a long book, and it details all the adventures that I went through, all the ups and downs of an intensive internal investigation, I would say. And instead of looking outward at the problems of the world, look at what's inside of me. And that was kind of very scary but very exciting adventure.
How did you write it down? Did you just sit down as you had the experiences and write them down after the experiences? Were you able to write during the experiences? How did the writing process work?
Yeah, I was lying on a sofa because I was so tired, and I had these A4 spiral bound pads, notepads, lined paper, and my favourite biro. And my guide Madeline just said, "Just write it all down as you see it and you hear it," because I could see them. I could see my guides. They were energetic, white light, energy and white light, and I could tell whether they were male or female, and I could hear them. So I could see and hear all these experiences. So, yes, I wrote it down as it was happening.
How many guides were there?
So at the start, there was Jeremiah, who's my head guide, and then there was Madeline, and then a whole group of them showed themselves to me, and they're all smiling at me. And I was there lying on the sofa thinking, how can I get this guitar to stop? And there were these incredible beings just sitting there saying, "You're a special person, you know, you've got a special gift, and you're going to be able to heal people, and we're going to heal you and show you how to do it." I was just blown away.
I can imagine. I mean, this must have been an extraordinary experience for you. Did you intuitively know the name of the guides, or did they introduce themselves to you?
They introduced themselves to me, yeah. Jeremiah said, "I'm Jeremiah," and Madeline said, "I'm Madeline," yes. So I can sort of recognize their voices, I can recognize when they're talking to me. And see, the wider thing is that with guides, you can be intuitively guided all your life. And this isn't something to be suspicious of, because they work through God, and they work who they call Creator in the book, and they work through the heavenly realms, and they're here to help humanity move on. They were here to help me move on out of a very dark place. And I knew that I'd been abused in my family. And so this was the first place they started, my guides. And they said, well, you have trauma. But they also said, if you think about the soul, and they showed me my soul. And I said, well, it looks beautiful. It was a ball of white light. And they said, well, do this. Go inside yourself and then move on out into your soul. And all I could feel was despair and sorrow. And I was just heartbroken. And I said, well, this doesn't feel right. And Jeremiah said, well, the soul has been through many incarnations, more than we could ever remember. And that some of these lives, especially in medieval times, we were tortured. A lot of people have this. And the soul rips. And so my guide said, we are here to heal the soul and for you to learn your lessons. Because when we've been abused and we feel very upset and sometimes ashamed, and this is to bring us closer to God, which might seem a very odd way of coming closer to God, but we start searching. We say, why did this happen to me? And so any trauma, we can ask, why did this happen to me? And your guides will answer, because in this healing that I give, people receive their guides. People will probably receive their guides when they're reading this book. And they say, well, these are the lessons. The lessons are to come more and more into love and into alignment with love, and to pray to Creator that our lives go very well. And as we move and align ourselves with Creator's love, things can become better. And there was one session with my guides that lasted two weeks, and they were releasing trauma from my soul. And one of my lady guides held my hand, and a man, he's called Amethyst in the book, was releasing trauma from my soul, and I could see it in sheets of yellow, just moving off up into God's light and dissolving into God's love. And, you know, I met these beautiful beings for a reason. I met Creator, and there's no need to fear Creator. Creator is not a vengeful God, as we as is spoken of in the Bible. This is the new era, and we can relate to God as a friend, as a kind friend who's helping us. And through the aeons, we have suffered, you know. And so this era, this time now, is for when we can come out of that suffering and heal it with wonderful guides, and then bring the love that we have into our lives. And this is my hope with this healing, is that people will move into love and be happier in their lives.
I think that's such an important message that you're giving, Helen, simply because, let's face it, the world is in such a mess right now. I mean, so many wars, so much horrible death and destruction and famine, and so many the four horsemen of the apocalypse ride right now. It's just, it's so hard. How long did the healing take you? How many weeks, months? How long?
Yes, it took 3 years for me to get really well and for all the trauma to be gone. And this seems like a very long time, but my guides said that they would show me all the little steps to go on to heal. And sometimes issues came around again, like family dynamics. Like I was working on dynamics with my father, and I discovered that I had past lives with him. And those past lives were not always very happy past lives, and that I had been born to reconcile with my father in this life. And we've talked about, he used to read children's stories to me, Alice in Wonderland, and there was that side of him. And then there was a more sinister side of him, which I won't go into here, but it was part of my lessons of learning about love is to love yourself first of all, and then to love even when the people that you love best can hurt you. That the message is that love is the only answer, and forgiveness. And the way that my guides work is that they can bring in feelings, so like a download of energy through words into the body, and we can feel love, and we can feel alive, and we can feel our self-worth. And it was absolutely magical to work with them. It was 3 years that were really the best years of my life, and I felt really compelled. They said, write everything down. You know, people will want to know these steps, and I didn't. it ended up being a book looking very much at the darkness that we all have inside of us. And, like I said, going back to medieval times when there were a lot of battles, and before that there were a lot of battles. And, so it's about finding the peace within. And the hope is that when reading this book or having healing, that you find the peace and happiness you want within you, you find the answers, and then people will not want to do wars anymore. And you can see that the people that are creating the wars are very damaged people. And so all we can do is look within. That's the first place my guide said, look within. Resolve your hatred of the guitar guy, upstairs with his guitar that he won't stop playing. And you are here, they said to me, you are here because you have some hate in your heart, and we want to help you with that hate. Don't hate your father. He's an angel. We're all angels, and we're all here to ascend. And ascension, they said to me, was realize that we're all spiritual beings. We're all light and love energy in a body. And we're here to bring that to a physical reality.
Would you like to read a little portion of the book to our listeners?
Yes, thank you, Suzanne. It's part of the introduction. I am living in a block of flats that are small and basic, all because I got sick and needed a safe place to go. I'm living off my savings and have cashed in a small pension as I have extreme fatigue after having flu, and I have been ill for 3 years. I have been diagnosed with post-viral syndrome. I had to move into this cheaper accommodation here in this small town, but there is a problem. I do not get on with my neighbours. I have so many personal troubles, such as money and health, and these have become a heady cocktail of toxicity around the noise of the amplified guitar the male neighbour plays that collides with my sensitivities. I say out loud, why am I here? What has gone wrong? What is happening? Someone help me. A voice replies, do not worry, I am here to help you. I hear him in my head. I say, who are you? A white shape of a man enters my sight as if he is standing in the middle of my living room, but I know he is not real. I say, who are you? Again. The voice answers, my name is Jeremiah and I am here to help you. How? I ask. I am a healer from Arcturus, a star a long way away, and you are a special person with special gifts. I am here to help you manifest them. I ponder what he is saying. I say, I don't feel I am special. Suddenly a woman appears beside him. Her name is Madeline. She says, you are very special. You have a very special gift. You can heal people of their worries and anxieties by going to the root of the problem.
That's so beautifully written. So beautifully written, Helen. You have a talent with words, a very descriptive way of saying things. As you read, I was right there in your living room with you, witnessing exactly what was happening. The cover of the book, I noticed it as I looked at it on Amazon. Is there a significance in the cover of the book and that beautiful color?
Yes. In one of the chapters of my book, I think the first chapter, I talk about being visited by a pink cloud who called herself the Law of Compassion. And I was told by her that I would get through my difficulties, and that in the healing we can sometimes feel that it is difficulties as we heal our trauma. She said, I'm here to help you feel compassion for yourself and feel compassion for your father. And I'm here to help you be nice and kind. And so the law of compassion is a very beautiful energy. It's the most beautiful energy to sit in. And you can have a download of what it feels like to have compassion for yourself and for others. And so I was given a meditation by Madeline. And you go up, out, up, up, up. And there's a white, voluminous space, which is all love. It's pure love. And this is through the doorway, through the law of compassion. I went through the doorway into this white, high white space where you can talk to God. And it is very beautiful. It feels so beautiful. So I accessed it through the door, through the law of compassion. The law of compassion opens it up, that route to God. So you can feel compassion and love. And I felt compassion and love. And if I ever still feel a bit sad, then I can go up to that meditation, go up to that white space and feel the love. And from that space, view the world. And when you feel full of love and when you're coming from a place of love and compassion, then no one and nothing can hurt you any longer.
Wow, this is just such a beautiful message. Now, let's talk about where the listeners can find your book. It is on Amazon, and I want to make sure that I give them the title and do some spelling so they can find it easily. The title of Helen's book is The Story of My Soul, S-O-U-L, by Helen, Helen, P. Slater, Slater. Now, Amazon, they can find it there easily, but I also think it's available other places, Helen. Where else could they find the book?
Yes, they can find it at Barnes & Noble, as well as Amazon. And if you go to my website, which is www.thestoryofmysoul.com, then you can access a special box there that you put your name in, and you can buy the book through there. You can purchase it through there.
And there's also a little description of the book and sort of a little synopsis there as well. And you've written 2 other books, is that right?
Yes, I have. I've written The Wonders of the Soul and The Laws. I've written about the law of compassion and other laws, and both those books are on the website.
What else can they find on the website?
Yes, so they can find excerpts of Wonders of the Soul, and this goes through a fictional couple and she is a healer, and it's about the women that she heals. So it's examples of problems in people's lives that can be healed by coming for spiritual healing.
I think there's also a video available for this book that we're talking about, The Story of My Soul. Is that right?
Yes. It's on the Balboa Press YouTube channel, and if you put Helen P. Slater into the search bar, you will come across the video.
Now tell me about the social media that you're doing. I know you're doing Facebook and Instagram. What else are you doing, and how can our listeners find you?
Oh, yes. So, yes, I have a Facebook page and an Instagram page and a Twitter feed, and I'm at Helen P. Slater.
This is such an interesting, wonderful book with such a beautiful, positive message. When our listeners become readers and they do pick up a copy of the book, this is probably not a book that they will sit down and just read cover to cover. This is not that kind of book in my mind. This is a book that they will sit down many times with and read parts and think about and go back to the book. This is a book that is not for immediate consumption. It's for a long-term relationship almost. But they will come eventually to the last page of the book, and they will read that last page, and they will close that back cover, either electronically or physically. Helen, as the author of that book, what is it that you would like that person who reads your book to take away? What's your bottom line important message for them?
That if you've experienced trauma in your life, that peace is possible, that healing is possible, and it is available right now. And I've called my guides call the modality that I use Arcturus healing. And I'm available for healings, or you might find that the healing takes place when you read the book. And I wish you much joy and happy readers.
And if they wanted to contact you about a healing, the website would be the way to do that. Is that correct?
Yes, the website, you can email me or you can message me on Messenger, Facebook Messenger.
Helen, thank you so much for being my guest today on Books on Air. It's just been Wonderful to talk to you. I love the positivity. I love the message that you're bringing to the world. I think it's so important. And thank you for being here. It's just a pleasure to talk with you.
Thank you, Suzanne, very much for letting me talk about my book to all your readers, listeners, I should say.
Now remember, you can find Helen's book on Amazon. The title is The Story of the Soul by Helen P. Slater. You've been listening to the Books on Air podcast, brought to you on webtalkradio.net. You can also hear this podcast on Apple, iHeartRadio, and Stitcher. Remember, keep reading, keep writing, and keep telling your stories. Thank you so very much for listening.